Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole. Hey, Firefly, what's up?
What's up, Butterfly?
Well, I think we're going to go down a rabbit hole.
I'm ready.
Okay, wow, you are ready.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
You
I'm
are.
excited.
I am too. So, I think, this is sort of, I guess, a follow-up to a previous episode that we had.
Yeah.
What was that one called?
Well, like the other blue pill,
The new blue pill.
the new blue.
Yeah, where we
It's like
talked.
Selsun blue.
Yeah.
Kind of it helps you with your dandruff and also kind of it's makes you brainwashed.
So, if people haven't listened to that episode, they should probably listen to that one because we kind of like talk a lot about how people, it seems like there's a new blue pill in town. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people have like decided to go back to sleep.
And it's so funny because remember how because you and I are activists.
Yeah,
We became that. I didn't
yeah,
ever thought I was going to be an
I
activist.
know, me neither.
I wasn't like, one of those people in college
Yeah, it
because
was.
they were like protesting when I was in college for it was like no blood for oil
Right.
in Iraq. You
Yeah,
remember?
yeah, you could have been protesting that.
And I remember thinking to myself, even then, I was like, I don't really relate with those people. Even though, yeah, no blood for oil, I felt like kind of like the way that people are protesting now, like, hey, stay off my social security, Elon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I feel like, yeah, I'm protesting the government too, but you guys are kind of like drinking protest Kool-Aid.
right.
It's weird
It
how
is weird. Yeah.
the it's like the government says, here, protest us about this.
Mm-hmm. Well, they like to distract with certain things, so kind of divide and conquer. They like to distract people with
Yeah.
certain ideas so that they won't really like notice the bigger picture. Um,
But then we also kind of had like the analogy of like somebody who quit drinking for a long time
yeah, it kind of seems like
and now they fell off the wagon.
people have fallen off the wagon. Like it's kind of discouraging because I know a lot of people who were like super awake, like quote unquote, and like fighting the whole cooties fiasco and fighting the pokey pokes and all this stuff. And now it's like they've put blinders on and they don't really want to see anything that goes against whatever the new heroes are doing. And
And it's weird how we kind of bump up against it sometimes
yeah,
because we're thinking that they're still not drinking the Kool-Aid. They're still red pilled.
yeah,
And it's kind of like when bump into somebody at the bar who said they quit drinking 20 years ago and now they're just getting hammered at the
yeah,
bar.
right.
And so it's like immediately you're like, oh, not only did you start drinking again, but you're guzzling it now.
Totally. It's like the government is serving another round of Kool-Aid and it's on the house this time.
And this Kool-Aid is
This
like
Kool-Aid is like really potent.
it's really potent because
Yeah,
you kind of have to like this Kool-Aid, it's almost like it has an extra dose of cognitive dissonance.
it does.
Just like a little bit extra for you.
Yeah, because all the people that are really getting drunk on it this time are like the ones who thought that they were super against the whole Kool-Aid thing
That's
before.
right.
So it's almost like they don't even notice that they're drunk.
Well, that's
Have you
again,
ever been
that's
around people that are
that don't
drunk
notice.
and they don't think they're drunk?
Oh, I
And
hate that.
you're like, "Oh, you're totally drunk." And they're like, "I'm not drunk. Give me my keys. I'm totally sober."
And you're
And
just
you're
like,
like, "You're wasted.
you don't know.
You don't know."
Yeah, you're not self-aware because you're hammered.
Yeah. So
That's true.
it's kind of scary,
Well, it's kind of
you
weird too
know?
because like you kind of see people that you were like, wait, this person was totally awake and now they're going back to being blue pilled, and that happens in the Matrix. So the
Uh,
Matrix kind of is interesting because first of all, I don't think those two tranny dudes wrote the Matrix.
mm,
Not all of the rudiments of it. I
mhm.
think that that was like,
They were just given the idea, the
yeah,
plot or something, and then
and they came up
they
with
wrote
like Neo and
they
everything.
wrote like the dialogue.
That's right.
Mhm.
So I think the reason that the Matrix includes Cypher is because Cypher is red pilled, but then he's not happy in the red pill.
Well, because it's kind of scary and
Yeah, and
yeah,
he's like complaining about the food on the Nebuchadnezzar ship. You know, he's like, food sucks. And he was like, oh, welcome to paradise. And he's talking about how, kind of lame it is to be red pilled
mhm,
because of all the luxuries and the pleasures of being blue pilled,
right.
right?
Wow. So that's really interesting because it's like I hear people that are like, oh, there's so many horrible things in the world. I only want to see the good stuff. And it's kind of
That's it.
it's kind of scary because I think like some of these leaders like Trump they're selling this idea that it's inevitable that we're all going to be controlled by this AI universe. Like AI is going to basically take over the world and it's inevitable. But so come along with me, my flock, and
Yeah,
I'll do it the nice way.
that's right.
If I'll make sure we're going to have AI and we're going to have everything's going to be, we're going to have digital currency and we're going to do all these things, but I'll do it the nice way and protect you. And I think that's a really scary trap that a lot of these people are falling into.
Yeah, because like, what is that kind of concept? It's like, okay, let's just say we go along with Trump, right?
Hmm.
And we are getting guided into a digital prison. Well, what good is having domestic oil production if you're in a digital prison
Right.
and you're not allowed to drive your car except where they tell you? Then it's like, well, I don't really care about what gas prices are.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to drive my car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or what if they go, well, we aren't allowing a lot of illegal immigrants in anymore. Well, what difference does it make? Now I'm in a digital prison, and like all the ones that were going to come here are here.
Yeah.
So it
They're right
doesn't,
here.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like all these Pyrrhic victories, and they want you to focus on that. That's kind of the new Kool-Aid,
They want you to focus on all these
the wins.
yeah, the wins, all the wins that are happening. But meanwhile, there's a bigger picture. And, you know, now we can't question anything the government is doing because then we're labeled conspiracy theorists.
Well,
We can't investigate the government.
it's
They
kind
can
of
throw us straight to jail
that's
without
right.
an investigation, but we can't investigate them.
Well, I mean, look at the just whoppers they told us about JFK and 9/11.
Hmm.
If you unpack the official narrative, or how about Vegas?
Oh yeah,
Remember that,
we
dude?
never got that
The
story.
main story there, like, totally didn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
And remember the sheriff, like from Vegas? She was like sitting
Yeah,
there talking to the podium, and there was like some dude with sunglasses on in a suit, like just like glaring at him. And he kind of had this like look on his face,
like
like,
you better stick to the script, dude.
I am going to tell you exactly what I've been told to tell you,
Mhm,
and I think that's kind of how it goes.
mhm.
And they just keep it nice and tight and just go, don't worry. And then, so someone like me or you reads what they're telling us and goes, that's complete bullshit. But what did happen? Who knows?
Right. Well, I think so, a lot of people they don't want to really see what's going on. Like we saw that with the cooties fiasco.
Well,
Did you ever talk to people who like you were trying to talk to them about like what was going on? And I mean, some people were completely like all for it. Other people were like just completely clueless and so they were just going along. But then there were those people the ones that I call willfully ignorant,
yeah.
who like they knew that there was something bad going on and they kind of knew what it was pretty much, but they just didn't have the energy or didn't want to like try to do anything about it.
Like the one dude at the school. Remember you went and
Yeah,
protested at the school?
yeah,
And the dad was like going in to give his kid like
the
the
poke.
the pokey poke.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, wait a second, sir. Check out this information about how dangerous the pokey poke is and how little kids don't need it at all, at all. And he was like, wow, that's interesting. Didn't know that. Well, have a nice day now. Come on. You
Yeah,
know.
totally. It's like they just wanted to put blinders on and pretend like if they don't look at the bad thing, then the bad thing's not. It's like if you don't see the monster, then the monster's not there. Like
That's why they have walls.
it's a very toddler like mentality if
It
you think
is.
about it. Like if I just don't look this direction at where the bad stuff is, then that bad stuff is just not going to happen.
So easy to do.
Yeah.
Like, remember I told you about that Nine Inch Nails album where they had the ghetto right next to
Yeah.
the nice house?
Yeah.
And remember, there's a wall there, so the guy laying out by his pool doesn't have to see the ghetto.
Yeah. So he can just
You don't want to
he
see the
can
ghetto.
pretend he probably got like really cheap, like a really nice house, like for super cheap
Yeah,
because he's like living in the ghetto.
he's like, but it's not worth it if
He
I got to
tore down
see
like
the ghetto.
four ghetto houses to
Yeah,
build his mansion.
and he puts up a big wall to just like tune them
Yeah,
out.
I'm not in the ghetto. I'm in my nice
Well,
house.
that's what happens to Seifert, right? So Seifert's talking with the agent, and he says, "I can't deal with being red pilled anymore.
Mm.
So I'm going to give you the goods on Neo, and you suture me back into the blue pill."
I just want to start taking the blue pill again.
That's an interesting word because when I was a film major in college, they taught us this term suture.
Mm.
And I know suture is like sewing up,
Hmm.
but suture, when it comes to narratives, is when you're watching a movie, and you know how when you're like in a dark theater and you start watching a movie, and now you're not really cognizant of your surroundings anymore. Now you're completely in the movie.
Yeah.
That's called being sutured in.
Oh,
And I think that's the blue pill. They get you sutured
totally.
in. So you're completely oblivious
Yeah.
of what exists outside.
Whoa. Okay.
Like, no, but you know that you're in a movie theater, but once you like go take a bite of popcorn, you're taking a break, but then you go
Yeah.
get sutured back in.
So that's really interesting. I had like a little mini epiphany just then because remember during the cooties fiasco, like I felt like um didn't you feel like we were living in like an alternate reality from some the people who were so
Yeah.
clueless? Maybe those people had drank so much Kool-Aid.
They're
They're,
sutured
they
into
were
the narrative.
sutured it, so they were in an alternate reality. They had been so, doped up on their soma and probably pharmaceuticals for, over the years and stuff that and plus just being much more highly hypnotizable. Some people are.
That's what they say happens to you when you watch TV.
Yeah.
Like your brain activity slows down so much that you're easily suggestible in
Hmm.
that state. And I think that's because they've done MK Ultra, and MK Ultra is gnarly. They've been like studying human brains and figuring out how can we mess with people. I think that's kind of the thing they're doing.
Oh my gosh. So that totally is such a good point because I have a friend who like was super like active against the cooties fiasco and now like she just doesn't want to see any of this other stuff happening because it's just too scary. And but it made me think of the MK Ultra stuff. And it's like
The trauma,
the trauma, they traumatized people so much during cooties. It was so hardcore and for like what like
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And I think like we were saying like okay, a lot of people escaped that, but I think a lot of the people actually didn't really escape it because they were so traumatized during that period that now it's like the second wave of trauma. They're being sucked back into
Yeah.
it's
Because what do they do? Why does MK Ultra use trauma? It's trauma-based mind control.
yeah,
Because when you're traumatized, you're easily suggestible, and the mind deals with trauma by compartmentalizing it.
yeah.
So it's like hides this truth, and then you can go, your brain will go and use all of its other functionality while it kind of puts this in like some little vault.
This is exactly what's happening to people. I mean, I've literally had conversations with people who have said that it's too scary to like be looking at all of these things. We have to just focus on like whatever's good.
And I think that's kind of what they want you to feel.
Yeah,
Because what have we talked about? Like the Kool-Aid is leading people off of a cliff.
it's leading them to their demise.
Like, did you ever see that movie, The Cell? I told you about that one
Yeah.
time. You didn't see it, but
No.
anyway, it's not that good.
Mm.
It's like I was a big John Cusack fan when he did movies back in the 80s and the 90s. I
Yeah.
really liked him back then. But then he got kind of weird. But then this was
He's
kind of
totally drunk on the Kool-Aid.
he's so drunk on the
He's
Kool-Aid.
he's in the cult.
And
He's gross.
The Cell is a cult movie,
Yeah,
but
totally.
it's got Samuel Jackson too.
Mm.
And what happens is the cult releases some kind of a virus through the phones. So
Oh gosh.
everybody who's using their cell phone at this one instant becomes a zombie.
Wow.
And or not a zombie, they kind of become like did you ever see Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
Did you see Wreck-It Ralph? Remember at the end where all of the hornets have to go follow that beacon,
Oh, God.
and they go, and the beacon leads them, and they all are just like in a trance, and they get led to the beacon at the end of the game. Well,
Like,
that's
actually,
kind of what the cell is like. There's a beacon, and they all become entranced, and they go walk to the beacon, and then they show the people are walking into a big pit, and
mhm,
they're just guided by this beacon in a trance and being mesmerized and then walking into a big pit.
mhm.
So I think that's what the Kool-Aid is doing. And they now, once they kind of have you in their suggestible mode, that's kind of what we were talking about. Like, have you noticed how people don't think? What people do is they wait for their cue, and then they go, "Oh, this is what I think,"
Mhm.
and then they're really adamant about it because I got told by CNN,
Right.
you
Or
know.
NBC or
Or
Fox or
I mean,
whatever.
these days Fox is, it's
Or
kind of like, go ahead.
or even social media, because
Yeah.
social media had was, I think maybe for a brief time it was like the underground place to get like the information, but it's been totally hijacked, and now all of the
Yeah.
mainstream people have huge accounts, and they're the ones. I mean, Silicon Valley is controlling social media.
Yeah.
They're controlling the algorithms, so they control what you're seeing, and they push out the people that they want you to see and want you to listen to.
They're
And
guiding you.
yeah, those people like make it sound like, oh, we're totally on, underground, we're like on your side and this and that. But so a lot of the people think like, oh, I'm following these people, and so I'm getting like the real story, but it's just the same story. It's the story they want you to hear. And the thing is,
Kind of like your friend. I want to hear the winds.
yeah, it's scary because, um like Trump is basically Trump and Elon are kind of like, it's okay if we, have a digital prison, but I'm going to do it the nice way. I'll take care of you. But you know what? The truth is it's not inevitable.
No.
It's not inevitable. It's only inevitable if everybody goes along with it. And this is why we're talking, they want us to shut up, and we're not shutting up. We're talking about
America's still kind of in the way.
yeah. And it's the thing is, if we keep talking and more people realize this, then, that's what makes it not inevitable.
Yeah.
We don't have to go along with it, just like we didn't have to go along with the other stuff. If we all go
We can
along
take our
with it,
country back.
yeah, if we all go along with it, then it will
That's
be
what we were
inevitable.
supposed to do. Back then, when the founding fathers wrote the founding documents, they kind of built in, by the way, if tyrants take over your country, it's your duty as an American
Yeah.
to go get rid of them
Hmm.
and take back over. That's kind of where we're at now.
Totally.
But I feel like that's actually a really interesting phenomena because it's kind of like the cipher thing,
Mhm.
because remember he takes the bite of steak and he goes, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, that's what people want.
That's what they
They
want.
want to go back to bliss, and it's sad and scary. It's scary and dangerous actually
Remember
because
the meme, the
with
guy with the Trump hat sitting in jail
oh yeah.
and just going, we got rid of DEI.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I always think of that meme, that the one where it's like 1,000 sheep, like basically heading off the cliff, and there's one black sheep going, where are you going? And he's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't want, he's like, what are you doing? And
And
um,
they don't want to hear.
they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because it's too painful and too scary. But the scary thing is for people to not hear it and to not listen to it and to go off the cliff because it's kind of like a drowning person. They'll just drag you down, with them,
You know what it also kind of
take
pertains
you down
to?
with the sinking ship.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Milgram experiment. Remember the Milgram experiment?
Which one was that?
That's the one where the person who is not the person who's the subject who they're studying the behavior of
Mhm.
is administering electric shock
Oh, right. Yeah, we've talked
to
about that one.
one of the actors, and
Yeah.
then the other actor is wearing a medical coat.
Yeah.
And the guy with the medical coat is telling the person who's the experiment's being done on to administer enough electric shock to kill this person.
Yeah.
And 75 to 80% of people will go ahead and do that without asking, like, well, why?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm an authority figure. I've got this jacket on.
So maybe like Trump and Elon are wearing the doctor's coats
They're
now.
wearing the doctor's coats. And that's why people drink their Kool Aid
Hmm.
because they think an authority figure is telling them this. The media is not an authority figure.
No.
And that's another thing that we have to kind of decipher is we have to kind of like, is this a law or is this like one of their like year? Because
Mandates.
you know what I noticed is like the cult kind of because they can't. Because remember Netanyahu, he said we could do so much more if we use a government rather than these charity groups. So what he wants to do is like have it be a law. You can't talk about that country from
Yeah.
1948.
Well, they're trying to make that a law,
That's right.
and Trump even is advocating for that.
But for right
That's
now,
straight to jail.
I noticed that the micromanagers are kind of like, if you say stuff like that, you're just not cool.
Yeah.
You're not cool.
Mhm.
And if people are desperate to be in the in crowd
Right.
because the in crowd is where you get money. They'll turn off your money if you're not in the in crowd.
Yeah.
The in crowd's the social credit score system is getting more and more like in place. So like people are like, no, 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 I'm in the in crowd.
Right. They want to, that's why, they want to like post all their little things to make them look like they're, cool and going along with this stuff.
Like, have you ever seen a dude who has kind of a fat girl for a girlfriend?
Probably.
Notice how they're kind of like, I don't really want to go out with her. I like hanging out with her at the
That's
house,
sad.
but I don't want to like hang out with her outside
Mhm.
because then I'm like, oh, the stigma.
Oh.
And like other dudes are looking down on me. It's like, so like they're like, okay, well, I don't want to be seen with you. But I love you and I love hanging out with you in like private. I think a lot of these people who are drinking the new
Oh
beer
yeah, for
Kool,
sure.
that they're kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like in private, if no one's listening, but Big Brother always is.
Yeah.
But if there's no one listening, they think they'll come out and divulge to you, like, I think you're right. No, I think you're
But I
right.
just can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
sucks.
it does suck because, that's kind of like the willfully ignorant kind of attitude,
It's the
that the
stigma.
compliance that will, drag us all off the cliff,
Because that was Fauci coming out the other day saying, you know what we got to do is we got to make sure we don't normalize the conspiracy theories. Because so what they're kind of, and then like we saw the two guys 3 miles away from everybody wearing a mask on the
Yeah.
beach the other day.
Yeah.
So what those people are
You saw them.
listening, yeah,
But I believe you.
yeah. Trust me, they're there. And then so they're taking their marching orders, right?
Right.
And that's the marching orders is, these stigmatize these people who are making conspiracy theories.
Right.
Stigmatize them.
Yeah. They're crazy.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're ostracizing them if you can.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the message.
Well, and it's like, the brown coats, like snitch on your
Yeah.
neighbor and stuff like that. They're kind of like training people
And
to
the
do
other
that.
thing too is once you start joining us, especially you and me, Butterfly,
I know.
if somebody starts joining us, you're going to draw the ire of the cult because we're anti-cult.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like we can see this cult. This cult has taken over and they're foisting their worldview on you. And they're saying, drink this Kool-Aid. And the
Our
Kool-Aid,
patience is running out.
that's right. They're saying, hurry up and drink this Kool-Aid. And I'm
And
saying
shut up while
no.
you're doing it.
Because it's also really easy to say no to the Kool-Aid because then you see people who are walkers that are
Yeah.
drinking the Kool-Aid and you go, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
I don't want to join your cult.
Yeah.
Like I never was really like fascinated with Scientology. I was never like, you know what? I really want to look into that.
Yeah.
I never felt like that.
No.
But I think that's kind of what's going on is like Scientology is now taking over the world and then you have to go drink their Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Well, people want to belong. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like until
Belong with us then.
exactly.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Hey, we offer like you can hang out with us.
Totally. Um, I think that it's like we just have to let people know that, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom and Debbie Downer and like we're having like a horrible outlook on life by
No, we're
drawing
totally white
attention.
pilled.
We're totally white pilled.
Like let's take the analogy of the dude who fell off the wagon.
Okay.
Okay. Like I'm a drug addict, right? So I know drug addicts. And the blue pill people are kind of drug addicts at this point,
They are.
but they're having like a different kind of drug, but it's a
Mhm,
drug nonetheless.
mhm,
And they've fallen off the wagon.
mhm.
This is what I noticed when people fall off the wagon. So they got straight for a while,
Yeah.
but now they've decided to fall backwards.
Mhm.
What they usually do is they kind of downward spiral and like get like
Oh,
really out
yeah.
of control.
Yeah.
And then they go, "Oh my gosh, why did I do this? Let me get
Like
back
they
to."
have to hit rock bottom.
They kind of got to.
Wow.
And I think that might be where Trump and Elon's taking these people.
Rock bottom.
They're gonna, yeah. Trump and Elon are gonna prove. I think what's gonna end up happening is Trump and Elon are gonna be like that song from the '80s. Their true colors shining through,
Yeah.
and everyone's gonna see,
Uh-huh.
and that's gonna be rock bottom for the blue pillars.
Oh
They're gonna
gosh, I
be
think
like,
you're right.
"Oh my
So, like,
god."
do you think, like, at the very bottom, like the rock bottom, the all of a sudden then those people will, like, wake up and be like, "Oh my gosh, you were right." Or do
Yeah.
you think they're gonna, like, not wanna like, they're gonna
Well, there's
refuse to
gonna be
admit it,
probably a
like some of
mix.
the cootie
There's gonna
people?
be a mixed bag. There'll be some people who have a huge ego, and
Yeah.
at first they won't be able to accept that they were wrong and we were right.
Like the cooties people that, like, just keep going back for more pokes
Yeah,
because they can't admit that they made a mistake.
that won't accept that. And that's fine. And those people probably will have like horrific fates.
Yeah,
I hate to say it.
I know.
Probably gonna be not cool for them
Yeah,
because they're gonna get led off the cliff.
yeah.
But other people are gonna be like,
The
"Oh, okay, you were right, shut up."
the cult
And good.
is leading you to your demise.
That's what the
If you
blue pill
follow the
is.
cult instructions,
Yeah.
you are going to be going off the cliff. And
That's what happens
yeah.
to the blue pill people
Mhm.
in the Matrix. They're all just intravenously fed black liquid,
Yeah.
well, since they're babies, and they're just grown in these pods, and then they're just used for electricity.
Gross.
I know. That's the plot. But see, that's an analogy, but that I think is what happens with the blue pill people.
Mm,
They're just used and abused by the cult.
mhm.
They're not in the in crowd.
No.
They're not like part of the club.
So that's funny. We've talked about the in crowd before. And so a lot of these people who were like, totally sober, during the cooties fiasco, and now they've fallen off the wagon.
Totally.
They it's kind of like now that Trump, how he was like he wasn't in the in crowd during that time
Yeah.
because he got like voted off, but now he's like the in crowd now, and
Yeah.
so is Elon. Now it's like now they're back on now they want to be in the in crowd. They weren't in the in crowd before, but now all these people want to be in the in crowd with Trump.
That's right.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird. It's weird because people can just completely contradict themselves in the same sentence
They
in a
want
way.
yeah, they totally flip-flop, and it's like, you and I are like, we don't wanna be in the in
You
it's not
know,
like we're just gonna, like, be obstinate about everything and be like, "No, I'm not gonna agree with whatever." We're
it
not doing it
reminds me of
just
like Pennywise, the punk band. Remember? And they're just like, fuck the authority.
we're not just like
And then now they're like, oh, but at my concert, you have to take the shot.
yeah,
And we'll kick you out of the band if you don't take it.
yeah. No, I mean, we're we don't argue for the sake of argument, like, we just realize when there's something not right. And
I just believe that what's wrong and wicked is always going to be vanquished.
mhm.
Always. And truth and justice is going to be prevailing. Now, I might croak before that happens, but it's going to happen, you know? I think so, though. I'm pretty white pilled. I'm
Yeah,
pretty white pilled that, you know, I don't think that wicked, evil people are going to get their way that
yeah,
much longer.
yeah.
They have to be allowed to get their way.
Well, it's kind of being disguised now as like the good people are, in control. And
And that's what I think is going to happen.
yeah.
There, like you judge a tree by its fruits. I think the fruits are going to be pretty clear. Like I noticed that what were the fruits of Trump's first presidency? The fruits. Well, basically, he ushered in COVID. They started trying to make everybody take shots, and then there was like an economic implosion that we really haven't emerged from.
But if you talk to some of these hardcore Trump fanatics, they don't think that that happened.
Yeah, they
They
don't know.
they think all of that happened because of
Well, have you noticed they
like
make excuses?
yeah, there's an excuse for everything. He didn't do any of that, according to them.
I wish somebody would have been like the way that they make excuses for Trump. I wish somebody would have done that to my ex-wife for me. That would have been perfect because Trump can do nothing wrong. They always have some excuse for it.
So you wouldn't have seen anything wrong that she did?
Yeah. Well, I probably like maybe,
Or she wouldn't have seen anything
I
wrong
could
that
have
you
been
did.
like, oh, well,
You'd still be
we're
married.
getting divorced because your fault. That's basically what because I could have just had like a little advocate saying, well, actually, Firefly did this and Firefly did that. Because that's what I noticed with Trump. Like you say, okay, well, let's just look at the tail of the tape. He ushered in COVID and then he ushered in the shots and
Yeah.
he's telling people, shot.
Mhm.
I guess that's John Travolta from Pulp
Bragged about
Fiction.
it forever,
Yeah. Yeah.
Project Warp Speed or whatever.
He brags about get
Yeah.
the shot, and then he's telling everybody get it, and then he's telling people, oh, like how proud he is that he ushered it in so fast. And
Mhm.
it's like, wait a
He
second,
bypassed all the regular regulations that
I don't know if that's
normally
something to
happen.
brag
I
about.
know, I'm like, shouldn't you be quiet about that? Because
Aren't clinical trials
that
supposed to be
kinda
like 10 years?
that kinda sounds illegal.
Yeah. You're like, we didn't have to test it. We just went with it.
Yeah.
And then so like you point that out and you're like, but wait a second. So that's like basically, you know, like if a kid's playing little league, they look at his batting average. His batting average is his batting average. He batted 211. Now, somebody might say, well, he got hit by a pitch and then he was injured for a long time. Then he hurt himself slightly. So he had injuries. And then his family went on vacation for like a month. They went to like the Bahamas or something and they were gone.
Mhm.
And then so that's why, but it doesn't matter. He batted 211. That's all that really matters, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter about all the excuses, but
Mhm.
they don't want to talk about that because
Right.
what he really did. Because have you noticed also that the end of the Trump administration, he kind of handed it over the country to the New World Order, like in a nice little bow, like here. And we haven't emerged from that.
No.
Like when we went into the Trump administration in 2017, we came out like a little bit more in the prison and we haven't emerged since.
No. And I think that and this is the big danger with people going along with this stuff. I think that the more we inch into it, the further we inch into it, the more we're not
Like
going to
that.
get out of it.
What's that analogy with the frog in the pot?
Yeah. They put a frog in a pot and they just slowly increase the temperature until it's boiling.
That's the digital prison.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I was telling you and some other friends about the real ID. They want everybody to have this real ID.
It's real.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't really understand that anyway. Like, what they're putting a gold star on the ID, and how does that make it different? But somehow it's going to be tied to all of our
Probably listens to you.
digital. Yeah, so there's a lot of it
It's probably got little nanotechnology that
probably
listens to you.
does, and there's a lot of reasons not to get it, and there's really no reason to get it because you don't need it for anything,
You know what I
you know.
bet? I haven't gotten it yet. I
But
kind of don't want to get it because I feel micromanaged.
I'm not going to
I've
get.
already got a California DL. I
Yeah,
don't need to go get. Oh well,
you
you
can
gotta
have
get
your
real.
driver's license, and if you need to travel to another place, you have a passport. But this ID is going to tie in, like,
But that's today.
your medical records and everything else. And
Today at LAX, they're like, no, you can't board the plane without your real ID.
well,
That's today.
it's right. But the longer we protest these things, the more control we have.
I wonder if the
So
real ID, if they ask you, did you get the pokey?
that's what I'm saying. It's going to tie in all of your medical
It
stuff.
probably does.
And then eventually it'll probably tie in your social credit score, how many miles you've driven, how much gas you've used, or how much electricity your electrical
Your carbon
your
footprint.
carbon footprint will all be tied into that. And
Carbon footprints kind of remind me of like carbon dating.
yeah,
They
totally.
love carbon.
They do. But you don't have to get it. And the thing
That
is
would be the dating website
uh,
for the sciencey people.
carbon,
Carbon.
totally.
Do you
Um,
go on carbon?
but
Yeah, I'm on carbon.
the more that people go along with these things, it's like one more foot in the door of global control. That's what it is. It's like one step further in, like we don't want to have one more foot in the door. We don't want to be one step closer.
No.
That's the problem. So
And
it's,
the inertia is kind of making that happen.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is maybe we can just, through the sake of conversation,
yeah,
stop the inertia
that's what we're saying.
and get the inertia going the other way
That's what we're saying.
and have people going, well,
So,
yeah.
so the way forward is not to put on the blinders and start taking the blue pill again and start drinking the new Kool-Aid. The
No,
way forward is to
stay awake.
get back on the wagon,
Yeah,
get sober,
yeah.
stop drinking the Kool-Aid, put it down, wake up, take the blinders off, and see the big picture. I think that's what we're trying to say.
Sounds like something that like a druggie would be being told by their like if an intervention takes place for a druggie. That's
Well,
kind of what's going
it's
on.
kind of the same thing.
It's like an intervention.
Yeah, I mean, these people were sober and now they fell off the wagon.
It'd be like if
That's what
someone's
happened.
like injecting meth and
Yeah.
you're like, dude, you could die like the next time you inject.
And not only could you die, but you're also gonna like kill the whole neighborhood
Yeah,
because you're gonna
like
blow up your meth lab in your
exactly.
bathtub,
Like when you inject meth, you go on like a killing spree before you die. So it's not cool for
or
anybody else.
or you blow up your bathtub.
You just blow up. You inject meth and then you have like a huge like nuclear bomb explosion and kills everybody around you. So that's kind of like that's what I used to tell people. You know, people used to say, "Well, just worry about yourself
Yeah,
and be awake yourself."
that doesn't work.
Now you kind of got to have people going along with you because otherwise, then these people can drag us down as a country.
Off the cliff, drag us down with the sinking ship.
Although I'm starting to kind of think I'm white pilled about that too.
You are?
Yeah, I'm white pilled
Okay.
because what I notice is like, have you noticed there's like nice areas and then there's like the hood.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what's going to happen. Like the awake people are going to form communities,
Hmm.
and then the people who are toxic, they're going to kind of have their lives, but they're only get their influence is going to become smaller and smaller because they're drinking Kool-Aid. It can't work out good for you.
It's true. Yeah,
That was a good one.
I think so.
That was cool.
Yeah,
Did you feel like you said everything you wanted to say about that?
I think so. I
Yeah.
have some ideas for our next one. Kind of popped into my head just
Really?
yeah.
Do tell. Do tell.
Well, I think we're gonna talk about followers.
Followers.
Hmm.
Mm,
Because
it's
that's
a
what
thing.
because that's kind of the problem.
That's kind of the people who are going and getting drunk.
Yeah,
Because when you're red pilled, you're kind of a leader.
yeah,
You're like thinking for yourself,
yeah,
kind of a leader,
yeah.
and then you go, you know what? I don't like leading. It's kind of scary. I just want to go follow. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.